COVID-19, why you do this to me? I really don't like being stuck in quarantine. I have no toilet paper, I don't even have a snack. Hey, coronavirus, I want my life back.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful blue sky here in Toronto downtown right now. It is a gorgeous day. Good day to be isolated. It's a good day to get outside and get some fresh air, isn't it? Hello to everybody. Donna, Heather, Mike, Diane, Donna, Patricia, Kelly, and welcome to anybody who is just joining us. A special hello and a welcome to our first responders and first responder families. It is First Responder Day, May the 1st in Ontario. And that has been officially declared as First Responder Day, and very appropriate this year. But I'm kind of declaring it not just First Responder Day, but First Responder Families Day as well. We're going to talk this evening about what we can all do for our first responder families and what we can do to support them as they support our heroes. Very important, very important. And I hope that if you know someone who's a first responder family might not be watching, that you share some of the information with them. But first, to the major news of today, and that is, of course, that this morning the Premier announced that some parts of Ontario's economy are about to reopen as of Monday.
We have consulted with our Chief Medical Officer, and today we're able to move forward with opening a small list of very specific businesses. Many of these are seasonal businesses that we're confident can operate safely as long as they comply with public health measures and workplace guidelines. As of Monday, May the 4th, the following businesses will be able to operate: lawn care and landscaping services, garden centers and nurseries with curbside pickup, community gardens, no-touch car washes, auto dealers by appointment only, site preparations for construction projects, and certain essential construction projects such as broadband, telecommunications, municipal projects, and schools. Marinas and golf courses will also be allowed to start getting ready for the season, but not open just yet. Folks, our hard work and perseverance, our patience is paying off. We're at an important starting point, and we should take today as a sign. Today's news shows us that if we stay the course, if we stay vigilant and take the measured approach, we can keep moving in the right direction.
All right, so that is a bit of good news, and I know we're all yearning for the day when every one of us can go back to work and head out there and socialize again. So it's a start, and I'm glad to see the Premier is being cautious. It's also perfect timing for those who are into gardening. It's going to give you something to do. It's all social distancing still, though, so it's going to be a lot of curbside service. So you've got to check on Monday what your local nursery, if that's what you're going to be doing, how they are going to be operating. So once again, come Monday morning, some portions of the economy, some seasonal and outdoor portions of the economy will be reopening. Let's get back to what today is, and it is First Responder Day in Ontario. And today we are talking about first responder families. And I'm thrilled to be joined by some of our first responder families right now in Mississauga. Joining me is Catherine Hamilton. She's joined us before as part of the Ontario Paramedic Association, but Catherine, you are also the spouse of another first responder.
Yes, that's right. I am. I'm married to a flight paramedic who is doing a tour currently in the Northwest Territories right now. So he is gone for 4 weeks at a time.
And you yourself are a first responder too. So, I mean, you're wearing both hats and you can help us better understand that. And joining us from Russell, Ontario, which is out near Ottawa. Hello, Isabel Hebert. Nice to see you.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I am good. You are the wife of a volunteer firefighter, and to use the term volunteer firefighter is nothing like it was in the days when Fred and Barney were volunteer firefighters. Volunteer firefighters are now professional in so many ways. The training and even the dangerous situations they're getting into.
Yes, exactly. They spend a lot of time training, just as much as a full-time firefighter.
All right, so thank you both of you for joining us, and let's just give a bit of background too. What kind of family dynamic we are dealing with? Catherine, why don't you start and just tell me a little bit about your situation, your first responder, and your family?
Absolutely. So for me personally, I'm a registered nurse and a paramedic. And at the moment, I've been off work now for about 1 year with an operational stress injury. So currently I'm home, but I'm working on my own personal health and mental health.
All right, Catherine, we've been trying to get one more person into this panel, and I'm going to have to ask the tolerance of all of my viewers for a moment, because here, I'll do it. I'll grab it there. Because Parul is going to be joining us from Ottawa. Where is the Skype? Behind the comments. Okay, hold on here 1 second. This will be interesting if I can do this. Hold on 1 second. We were having some technical difficulties before with Parul. So, folks, you're about to see production in progress here. All right, here we go. And she is just joining us right now. It's just connect.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, Parul, hold on 1 second. I'm going to add you into the conversation. You have gone through all sorts of trouble to get with us, so let's see. I'm going to go to our split screen here. This is what we're going to do. We're going to join up. Parul is in there, and Catherine's disappeared. I have to merge them. Hold on. I have to merge the calls. Do you know how to do that, Parker? Okay, hold on. I'm going to call. Hold on. All right. Let's see. Catherine. Let's add her. All right. I have to apologize, folks, because unfortunately, Skype, out of all of the meeting mediums, I'm sorry to say, is the one that is hardest to use. There you are. Okay, Catherine. Hello. All right.
Hi.
Okay, now we're going to bring Isabel back in, who's wondering what the heck, where did everybody go? And then I'm going to let Parker take over and just arrange everybody as soon as we get Isabel back on the line here. All right, she has joined. Okay. All right. And while Parker's doing this, you're going to see a whole bunch of things flashing in front of the screen, folks. So pay no attention to that. Parul, thank you so much. I know we've been working for about 10 or 15 minutes trying to fix what's been going on. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a first responder's wife. My husband is an Ottawa police officer for about 10 years. He used to work in Hamilton. And myself, I'm a mental health professional, owning my own private practice called Embracing Empowerment Counseling Services.
Okay. And the discussion, of course, today, okay, we've got all four of us now on the same screen. This is great. It's going better. We are talking today not only about being Ontario's First Responder Day, but we're thinking about the families. And Catherine, I'm going to start with you, and just tell me a little bit about what it's like to be the family member of a first responder trying to take off your nurses and paramedics hat.
So within our household, we have an interesting dynamic where I'm married to a first responder, and I also have a child with a first responder, and both of them are currently on the front lines of this pandemic. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, my husband is gone for 4 weeks at a time working up in the Northwest Territories. So right now I'm solo parenting. My daughter's father is a paramedic here in Peel region. and he is currently full-time on the high-risk response team. So that's the team that focuses only on patients with COVID-type symptoms. So he's putting himself at great sacrifice to help serve the community. And as a result of that, my daughter has not seen her father in 6 weeks. So it's been really difficult because we're isolating from seeing him. It's been a big adjustment to the routine of our family, in addition to what's going on with the physical distancing that's being advised and the schools being closed. But right now, I have the added pressure of being a solo parent because my husband's not here. So it's been a really, really big change in our routine and in our life overall.
Okay. And again, we're still just finalizing all the little switches here, folks. So things are going to be flashing in front of your eyes for just another minute or so. Thank you so much to Parker, who is a lifesaver, believe me. Let's go to Isabel. Isabel, same kind of thing I'd like to get from you if I could. Tell us a little bit about your situation and your family situation and what you face day to day.
Well, I'm the wife of a volunteer firefighter in a small town called Russell, just outside of Ottawa. And what we face on a day-to-day basis is just extra precautions for our family. So when he responds to calls, we make sure that put his laundry into a basket in the garage and get everything washed before he even enters. We're changing our routines. We used to be greeted by our 2 small children at the door, and now we have to tap the brakes a little bit and take care of washing her hands as a little more than we used to, right? Just to avoid all that's out there. We also have my father-in-law who lives with us, right? So, and he's part of that vulnerable population. So we have to take care and keep him in mind as well when we change our how we do our business, our day-to-day business.
Okay. And Parul, you're the wife of a police officer in Ottawa. You're also a psychotherapist and have a practice as well. So tell me what it's like in your household.
My household is quite unique because my husband's been off on mental health leave since February, and planning to go back to work is in preparation to go back to work. So there's a bit of an anxiety of what to expect within members in his service, what to do, how to manage the cautionary stuff, and what we are going to be dealing with at home, which we've talked about, what that entails by not putting your uniform on at home, but placing a uniform at the door at the station, and then removing your actual uniform before you even come home in a sterile bag. So that's the plan. We were already having a second plan anyway, like for him to basically strip down in the garage, for me to give him a garbage bag, and for me to put it right into the washing machine. So that's what's going to be, and I call it the new unusual, because what is normal in our life before then?
I love that term. I am going to steal that term, the new unusual. I like that. You can see on the screen, and we do it every night, the different websites for people in crisis and for first responders. But there's a whole different set of support for first responder families. So we're going to go through quite a number of those tonight. So we're going to put it across our message board. I invite you to share that with other people you may know are first responders. So let's start with the first two. And the first one, of course, comes from an association you know quite well, Catherine. It is the OntarioParamedic.ca site.
Yeah, so what we've done with the Wellness Committee for the Ontario Paramedics and paramedics, like inside and outside of our membership, is we've put some resources online, both for community supports to help to ease some of the stress of getting groceries, because that can be sometimes a bit of a challenge. Different promotional deals and supports that paramedics can take advantage of while they're working. And also we put together a page that has resources for the families of the paramedics and the paramedics themselves. So it actually leads them to different EMS-based or first responder-based resources, different checklists, different applications that people can utilize to help to maintain their mental health and wellness. And so we've been really insistent on getting some of those resources up, because it's really important during this pandemic that people are aware that they're there and people have the ability to access them readily.
Okay, the next one I want to show, we'll do 2 now. We'll do another, I have another 6 after as well. This is frontlineresilience.ca.
Yeah, so frontlineresilience.ca is a group in the Barrie area. Dr. Lori Gray actually runs this clinical practice, and she has taken the time, her and her office staff have taken the time to put together some different guidelines for first responder support. So they've got some guidelines for the first responders themselves, so when they can recognize that there's changes, how they can keep themselves safe and healthy. And then there's also different resources there for the responder families, keeping active and healthy, and how to communicate to your children.
Okay, and like I say, I have more. We're gonna put them throughout the program tonight, and then at the end, I will put them all out there, and I invite people to share it. Parul, before we go any further, Parker was eagle-eyed here. Noticed your shirt.
Yes.
Or your sweatshirt. Is that from I've Got Your Back 911?
Yes, it is, and I love them. They have such an amazing initiative, coming from a very small town, which is my husband's hometown of St. Thomas, Ontario. So I used to do a lot of presentations with Frontline. So there was one with probation officer, and they didn't have any. So I asked the founders of I've Got Your Back 911, can you create one? So they did on time before I did my presentation. So it was pretty good.
Isabel, something interesting we've talked about in the past here on this program, and that is the online grocery shopping. And we've been asking people, I know you're being told to stay home and isolate, but the one thing that a lot of first responders are asking is, if you are able to go to the grocery store, go to the grocery store and leave the online slots for families such as yours. How difficult a time is it for you to get groceries done?
Well, we have actually our grocery store locally here that offers a delivery for first responders and other people in need. We personally have not used it because we have my father-in-law who can watch the kids for us to go do groceries without them. So the struggle for us personally is not that impactful. However, I can definitely see it to be a challenge for others that are faced to go into grocery stores to do groceries.
Catherine, how difficult is it for you, especially with both of you being first responders?
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm hearing from some of the people in the community, the first responders in the community, is that where they're being met with a little bit of resistance is when they are going in just before shift. A lot of grocery stores right now have permitted first responders and healthcare workers to show their badge and to be able to jump ahead of the line. And sometimes when I've gone, there's been about 60 people ahead of me that I have to wait. And because I'm not working, I don't take advantage of flashing my badge. I feel guilty about that personally. But what I'm hearing from some of the paramedics in the front lines is if they're going just before their shift and they have their uniform on, they're not being allowed to come into the store. So, it would be helpful maybe to have some dialogue at the doors with those people, just to let them know that, I'm just on my way into shift, and if they could, I understand the anxiety that's surrounding it because they might be worried about transmission of infection. However, some of the paramedics are just basically going in, right before their shift is starting, and they're not a risk to the public.
Okay. And how about you, Pearl? Any words of advice for other first responders and first responder families? What have you learned to do?
Well, we as a spouse to our 911 loved one, we have to recognize that, first of all, do they have any mental or moral health injuries, right? Because that's very, very important. I know for a fact that my husband won't be able to go into a grocery store at a certain time, no matter if he had a uniform on or not. Reality is, in Ottawa, they're not recommending for them to be placing a uniform on unless you're on shift. So I often go at the time post the vulnerable sector to be going on, because in grocery stores now they've slotted times for more of the seniors to go in. So at this point, it's mostly me or himself, but only at a certain time and day that depends on where his mental health is.
All right, let's go to two more support boards here. So we've already had the Ontario Paramedic Association on the Frontline Resilience. This one is firsteyes.ca, number 3, firsteyes.ca. So tell me about this.
Yeah, Perul, you want to take this one for Dan?
Okay. So First Eyes was created by a retired sergeant of OPP. His name is Dan Bowers, and it's an 8-module proactive mental health for any frontline. So what he does is he gives that extra time for families, especially because we don't know when you're going into 911, and we don't know what, the cues of mental illness would be or mental health struggles would be. So each module provides that opportunity to kind of seek what to look for, because we're the first eyes, and that's why it's called First Eyes to any of our 911 loved one. So if they're feeling off, we would know what to do next, what resources we need to do, how it impacts our children. So it's a great module. It's a great program.
Speaking about impact, and whoever wants to answer this, please. We have seen and heard about instances in which first responder families have basically been ostracized because someone is afraid they're going to get COVID-19 from them. We've even seen, I know we had a case here in Toronto of a nurse being evicted from her apartment for that reason. Have you felt any of this? And it's going to be interesting because two of you are in larger centers. One of you is in a smaller center. I want to see. So who wants to take this one first? No takers. All right. Everyone's being polite. Stop being polite. This is not a place to be polite.
Oh, it's the Canadian thing to do.
All right. Catherine, you go.
Sure. So outside of that story with the nurse being evicted from her room where she was boarding in, I haven't heard any negative feedback or response from anybody in the community. It's all been really uplifting. It's all been very supportive. If you go through our neighborhood, you'll see different window art and signs of appreciation and thanks for our first responders. And yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, they did, Canada Post did a parade in front of the Trillium Health Partners in support of our first responders and healthcare workers. And so it's been really uplifting from what I've seen so far. I haven't really heard any negative response.
Okay. And same thing. And same thing with me. Same thing on the Ottawa end. We're not really seeing a lot of negative. I think a lot of people are hesitant to speak about it. About what that impact would be for myself. Again, and in the policing world in Ottawa, they're not really recommended to place uniform prior to shift and after shift. Mm-hmm. So you don't see that piece.
Okay, and Isabel.
Yeah, so in our small community, we feel very supported with our frontline staff and family members. Like Catherine mentioned, there's frontline support signs on our front lawns, and you see rainbows on the driveways and windows, which is always great to see. I know that our frontline paramedics, fire, and police did a drive-by the old age home just to show their support, because we all know that they're struggling in nursing home and retirement homes. And we support the children's birthdays by posting Facebook pictures with the truck and Sparky with the sign.
and yeah, we've definitely seen that support. We've seen first responders actually really supporting the community a lot. And we're thankful for that. I'm going to do two more sites, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about kids and first responder family kids. Okay, so let's start with badgeoflifecanada.org. Great organization. Catherine?
It is. Go ahead, Catherine.
Oh, sorry, Parole.
Sure. That's okay. Yeah, no parole.
Stop being polite.
So Badge of Life Canada is a national-wide free resourcing, and what they do for first responders and is collecting information of where someone who is requiring support, whether it be peer support. They also gear towards conferences and workshops around how to be a peer support, facilitator. So they do that in that services, but majority of it is supporting one another through whether it's a Sparta kind of bracelet, putting in donations, trying to create new resources.
All right. Okay, so stay where you are. We're just going to take a quick break to do a little bit of business right now. We're offering these commercials for free to people still operating their small businesses because we want people to know. So let's do tonight's Biz Bump. And a little deja vu from last night's Biz Bump. Tomorrow is, after all, National Scrapbook Day. Today, we have another great crafting store to tell you about. This one in Oshawa. Class Act Inc. has been in business for more than 2 decades in Durham Region. Order online, take part in classes, check out some of their exclusive items. They also offer curbside service. ClassAct.ca. Tell me about your small business. Here in Ontario, it is First Responder Day. And here on Kevin's Isolators tonight on this Facebook Live, it is First Responder Family Day. They are the ones who allow our heroes to be out there. But they are left at home sometimes or at their work and with the kids, wondering and worrying. Is there much worry, Isabel? Tell me about the worry, about that portion of it.
You know what, Kevin? I have to say thank you to technology. Because with FaceTime and Skype and all these other electronics that we can actually see face to face, it takes the worrisome from the children not seeing their father when he's away on a call. He can actually call from scenes sometimes when they're on the break, right? So they have that connection still. They might not have like the touchy-feely, you can't hug my father right now. However, they can still connect and they can still see him and have a conversation with him, which is really good.
And Parole, you have 2 teenage daughters, and obviously as you get to be a teenager, they hear a lot more, they see a lot more through social media. They have different fears of their own.
Absolutely. Right now, as teenagers and teenage behavior, rare hugs are being given anyway, naturally. So they're not really missing any kind of physical hugs from their dad. But what they're recognizing now is dad's about to go to work soon. He's now leaving the home soon and going to work on a regular basis. How is that going to impact me? And Dad, are you washing your hands? And, can you come into the house? I don't want, if you're coughing, where did you get that from? So I think it's just the natural anxiety reaction, especially for a first responders family, because you're always going out in the unknown.
Catherine, you have a 9-year-old daughter, and she has faces the double whammy of both of you being first responders.
So we've been also blessed to be able to connect with technology. So we will often Skype or FaceTime or use Facebook Messenger. What we've done for Isabel to keep her connected, my daughter's name is Isabel, not, not to confuse with the Isabel on the line, is what we've provided her with one of my old phones so that we could download Facebook Messenger Kids for her, because it doesn't provide access to Facebook. So we get to choose all the controls. We get to determine who she's friends with, who she can speak with. And so we've gotten her connected with both my husband, her stepdad, and her father. So in the meantime, when she's not able to actually see her dad, she can talk to him and send him messages, and they can stay connected through that. And it's been really helpful.
I want to talk a little bit more about kids too, and there is camp support for them as well. So let's start with number 7 there, Parker, and this is called campfaces.org. Catherine.
Yeah, so Camp Faces is a camp that was established to help support first responder families, and it's sponsored through the Canadian Critical Incident Stress Foundation. And what they do, they started off actually doing weekends away at their camp or different locations, hotels and such, for first responder families who had lost a spouse in the line of duty or as a result of suicide from mental health. And it has grown since then to also be inclusive of other families, so families that are dealing with PTSD or another operational stress injury. And so they do two different camps a few times a year. And the FACES is actually an acronym for Families and Children of Emergency Services. So that's what FACES and Camp FACES stands for. And they are an absolute fabulous resource for families who are trying to connect with other families who are just like them, where you don't have to explain the unique stressors that we go through. You just get it. And so it really builds community. It helps with organic peer support development, and it gives the parents a respite sometimes from all the other pressures of life. And so it's been for me, at least personally, because we've attended, it's been a really fantastic resource, and I'm really appreciative of what they've done for us.
All right. And another one, this is called campmapleleaf.ca, Kids of Heroes.
So same camp where the families for Camp Faces go to for the operational stress injury weekend. It is in Ennismore, Ontario, and from Peterborough area. That's where I'm from, and it's lovely. You go on this private little island, you take a ferry across, and they have a camp that's all set up with all the camp counselors and the bunks for the kids. And what they do with the Kids of Heroes camp is that it's a week-long camp that's just specific to children who are from military and first responder backgrounds. And it is a program where people can donate into if they want to sponsor a child to go, because some families are financially strapped. And it's also where people who can afford to pay can pay, or pay as much as you are able to. And so they have a lot of programs that are lined up. They bring horses over to the camp for the kids during one of the days, and they just make it a really fun time for them.
Now, I don't know, and again, I do not like to go with stories like this just based on what I'm seeing in the message board. So I'm going to ask Parker. Parker, you see the one from Patricia Diane there? Don't put it on. But the one in Brantford, it's from Brantford. Can you look that up for me, please, and see if that is indeed true? And we'll get back to that. And we don't have the luxury of being able to talk back and forth electronically, folks, so that's why we're just doing this on the air. But again, I don't like to put stuff on that is not true, but if it is true, it's something I want to get a reaction from all of you on as well. So we'll get to that in just a moment. I'm going to go through 2 more support boards that we haven't done yet. So stay with me. First Responder Family Wellness Center.
That is a wellness center in, I believe, Alberta. So it's more central Canada, central Western Canada. And I believe Kimberly Williamson is the woman who runs that, and she has put a whole bunch of different resources for families up on her website, especially for the COVID-19 stuff. So there's a lot of checklists, a lot of daily reminders and weekly schedules, daily schedules to help to keep you organized during this time, since there's been a lot of adjustments, and to help remind you about personal care, self-love, and just how to keep yourself organized overall.
Okay, I'm going to get a reaction from you guys in just a moment, but first I want to get onto my soapbox here right now, and I've told my viewers positive. This is about being positive, but I've got to yell a bit here, okay, sure, about something that I see as being asinine, and I'm sorry, I'm going to use that term, and it's in regards to Brantford City Council. So thank you very much for Patricia for bringing that to my attention. So what they have done is they have rejected permitting trailer living during pandemics. Now, most municipalities have a bylaw against having trailers parked and RVs parked in your driveway. And for good reason. There's worried about wastewater. There's worried about people living in these things constantly. So one city councillor, Cheryl Antosky, introduced a resolution on April 16th to ask city staff to look into the implementation of a temporary use bylaw that would allow people to park their RVs in their driveways because of self-isolation purposes. There are many first responders and healthcare workers and even service workers who are living in recreational vehicles, some of them illegally because there's bylaws, because they have to be separate from their families. So we have subjected them to being separate from their families, and yet we cannot change a bylaw to suit unusual times. It was voted down 7-4. I could maybe, you know what? If this was like 6-5, maybe 7-4. Shame on the 7 of you councillors who could not change this bylaw temporarily. These are not usual times. This is not a normal time where some family is trying to squat on someone's driveway. This is a time when we are asking people to go out for us to take care of our health and be there when we call 911. Yet you can't let them have a damn trailer in their driveway that they can at least sleep in while they're not seeing their families? Shame on you, Brantford City Council. Shame on you. And I encourage everyone to send them notes. And thank you to the 4 councillors who at least realize these are not normal times. It was actually 8-4, said Patricia. Okay, I'm looking at the news item here, 7-4. Councillors said they felt the intent of the resolution was honorable. Well, isn't that lovely? They raised numerous concerns about the change, including the disposal of sewage and grey water from the vehicles, residents parking the vehicles on the street, taking time away from bylaw enforcement officers if there are complaints. Oh my gosh! Do you have any good reasons? That is ridiculous. And I say to anyone who is a first responder or healthcare worker in Brantford, you know what? I don't usually do this. Screw them. Live in those trailers. And then, you know what? If bylaw comes there, I would hope, first of all, a bylaw officer would just not even respond. At this point, that is unjust. I know that there are some unjust laws that they still have to enforce, but this is ridiculous. But we're asking so much of our first responders and first responder families, and yet we have a council that has not recognize the uniqueness of this situation. Well, you know what, Brantford City Council, why don't you try living away from your family for 40 days in a driveway somewhere, and then come back to council and reopen that vote? Now, I'm not going to get you 3 involved in politics, but I do want to know, you have heard of other first responders and service workers who are having to live in trailers and RVs. So, Parul, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. So in the Ottawa area, actually was in the news this afternoon saying people are living in RVs, especially for first responders and healthcare workers, and it's encouraged here. The other piece is I think where Brantford Council is coming from, and again, I'm not into politics, but I think it comes down to basic fear. Oh, if you're outside your home, your built-in home on the ground, that would indicate more opportunity to it to be spread. So I think it comes from fear.
It does come from fear, and it comes from ignorance. It comes from misinformation, and it comes from a lack of humanity. I'm sorry, guys, and I know I'm getting very passionate about this, but I see so many things with our, that our first responders are doing for us, and I'm going to lump in, not just healthcare workers, but I'm going to talk about service workers, people who are running the grocery stores, people who are delivering our food, and some of them are living in trailers as well. Okay. All right, I have calmed down now. I don't know if either Isabel and Catherine. I'm not going to put you on the spot. If you'd rather not respond to my political outrage, you please choose not to. Catherine?
Sure. So politics aside, families are having to find unique ways to keep their loved ones safe, and so that means that they are, taking their uniforms off in the garage and putting them into garbage bags, like Parul indicated, to be taken care of. They may be living in a different part of the house, eating at different times from their family, or living away from their family completely. And so, it's a bit unrealistic to expect families to just be in the same dwelling together and not be utilizing that space for isolation in Brantford County. But I can tell you that some of the RV companies in other jurisdictions are offering free spaces for first responders and other frontline workers to be able to isolate from their families and stay safe. There's also hotel chains like the Silver Group Hotel, who has a space in Canada that's offering, basically just to cover operational costs, spaces where people can isolate, and even floors where they're offering quarantine for healthcare professionals and first responders. And so, there is hotel chains that are actually stepping up and doing something about this and supporting the first responders in the communities. And some of the service providers themselves, the paramedic service, police services, fire services, are actually helping to foot the bill or split some of the costs with some of the frontline staff on this.
And I put a comment up here from Linda. She sort of says it all right. She paraphrases. So, Isabel, if you'd rather stay away from this, it's fine. Would you like to say anything or comment on it?
No, I mean, like Parul said, in the Ottawa area in Russell, living in trailers or RVs during this pandemic is supported. However, if you don't have an RV, like Catherine said, a lot of our family members are isolating themselves in a specific room in the basement. I even hear some people putting garbage bags up on doors and actually eating within the same room. So eating and sleeping all in the same master bedroom because there's a bathroom connected to it, right?
Wow. What did you call it, Parul? These are
the new unusual.
The new unusual, and that is definitely what this is. I want to do one more board because we haven't gotten to Wounded Warriors, and Wounded Warriors do some great job for first responders, but they also are reaching out to their families as well. Catherine.
Wounded Warriors is a fantastic organization that provides just a plethora of different types of supports for first responder and military communities. So whether it be the individuals or whether it be the family units or couples, they offer different equine programs. They offer different peer programs. there's a couple of different equine programs that I don't know if you're going to be listing them on your board a little bit later, but that do offer some of the similar services within like the Ottawa region and such. So definitely Wounded Warriors is stepping up. They have a really big initiative that's going on right now in collaboration with I've Got Your Back 911, where they're actually raising funds to help with Nova Scotia right now. So they've just been an incredible organization.
I'm going to go around the board one more time, and I'm going to give each of you a chance to speak directly to the families, the spouses, the brothers, sisters, grandma, grandpas, uncle, aunts, children, what have you, of first responders and parole. I'm going to start with you. There's a lot of families who are scared out there and sometimes feel alone. What would you want to say to them?
I mean, all of us feel alone at this time, especially when we're quarantined into our own home. But what I would tell my first responders families is saying that as a spouse, it is often hard to express our emotion to our loved one who has already done a shift work, and they have already seen the emotional and mental capacity of what's happening around the world. So what I often do is saying, reach out. I always say, don't just reach out, but reach in, because some people aren't able to reach out. We also need to reach in. I also say this to those who work at night. I often leave my porch light on, and it's an indicator to spouses or frontline or first responders that this is the way, a direction to a safe space.
Wow. And couldn't we all use a safe space? Okay, Catherine.
Yeah, so to all the first responder families, just know that you are not alone. We're all trying to get through this together. I know that there's been a lot of changes within our lives, and you're doing a good job. You're doing the very best that you can right now. As Parul said, don't be afraid to reach out or reach in. It's so important during these times that you look within it and find ways to keep yourself active and healthy and happy and supportive towards your family. And we know that it's difficult sometimes when you're having to manage everything all at the same time with everything that's happened. But again, I just want to reiterate that you're doing a really, really good job, and keep it up.
All right. And Isabel, let's go over to you.
Yeah, so to all the families out there, we're all feeling the same. We all have struggles in our own different ways. If I could just ask everybody to keep a safe distance when frontline workers and our loved ones respond to calls, so they can come home safe and clean, I guess I would say. And like Catherine and Parun said, reach out and ask for help. Like, there's so many people that are willing to help each other. And so if you don't speak, then nobody knows that you need help, right? So open communication is always key.
All right. Catherine, Isabel, Parul, we thank you for what you do. We thank you for sharing your families with us, and sit at home worrying when you do that. And from the comments on here, there are a lot of people who are behind you and support you. So not only do we have the back of our responders, our heroes, we have your back as well, and we wish you strength, and thank you for joining me here this evening, all of you.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you.
All right. It's things we don't think about, right? When we call for help from 911, or we go into the hospital and go into Emerge or something like that, we see a hero. We see someone who is going to help us because we need help. And we see them as being superheroes. You know what? They don't have any personal problems. There's no such thing as PTSD or anything like that they could be dealing with. They don't have any family at home waiting for them to return, wondering, are they returning infected and they won't know for 2 weeks? I want you to think about that. So the next time you do, and a lot of people have been thanking our first responders and our healthcare workers and our frontline workers. But try saying, can you tell your family thank you as well? And yeah, that made me red. And I've been preaching not to get upset about things and things that are not in your control. Politics is in our control, though. And so I'm going to come down, I'm going to calm down, and I'm going to calmly say to Brantford City Council, listen, I know you think you were doing the right thing for your citizens by voting against having RVs and trailers in use in driveways. I understand that. I get that. And you know what? When isolation is over, go back to the bylaw. I'm imploring you. You know what? Don't even change the damn bylaw. Just tell your bylaw officers, we're not going to enforce that until isolation is over. Yeah, it's unusual. It is unusual, but these are not usual times. It's the new unusual. There was another thing that has really been bothering me as well. And again, I'm going to be transparent. My son-in-law is a paramedic, a part-time paramedic. Part-time paramedics working almost full-time hours don't get benefits like paramedics. They don't get the extra pay that the province is giving to a lot of first-line workers and healthcare workers and first responders. So again, what is the difference? I don't understand. They're responding to the same calls. That's another thing that I want our politicians to... Okay, a lot of you have been doing such great work. Oh, it has been a decision was changed to allow RVs. Hold on. Okay, this is what happens. Can you look that up, please, Parker? So, and if it is, then I have to say that that's what happened. The latest news story we had said that it had not been reversed, but someone had just said to us it was changed. And if someone even can send me it, because if it is, then I'm going to give 2 thumbs up to Brantford City Council. I mean, it was silly they had to go this far to do it, but hold on. And they did change the vote. And if they did, it's important that information gets across, because false information is not good for anyone. So it's important that we get the very latest information and pass it on to you. So I'm just going to go a little bit longer because I want to make sure that I didn't go off on them wrongly. Let's see here. So again, folks, you're going to have to sort of... I'm still trying to find... Latest information I have is April 17th from the Brantford Expositor. Okay, here it is. Councillor's reverse decision. Okay, so this is an update from the Expositor, okay? This is April 30th, just 2 days ago. Okay. Reversing an earlier decision, city councillors decided to temporarily change the rules so residents can self-isolate. Oh, it was yesterday. Sorry. Under a temporary use bylaw, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, so it was April 16th was the time that they... Okay. Okay, so I'm only going to offer a partial apology. I'm sorry, I'm only offering a partial apology. And I'm glad we found... Thank you for keeping me honest, everyone. Thank you for keeping me honest. But I'm only offering a partial apology. It took you 14 days, 15 days to actually have some common sense. And please do not give me the excuse, well, we only have meetings every 2 weeks or something. Please don't. It was a silly decision in the first place. And then that you would act, if that's the reason, shame on you for that. Yeah. So once again, Brantford City Council has reversed the decision, but it took them 2 weeks to do it. I'm glad they did, but my anger remains. My finger wagging remains pointed in your direction. So, thank you everyone for sticking with me tonight and joining us every night. We're getting there, aren't we? We heard that announcement. You know what? Can we play the announcement from the Premier again? Just in case you missed it. Starting Monday, this is what's going to happen.
We have consulted with our Chief Medical Officer, and today we're able to move forward with opening a small list of very specific businesses. Many of these are seasonal businesses that we're confident can operate safely as long as they comply with public health measures and workplace guidelines. As of Monday, May the 4th, the following businesses will be able to operate: lawn care and landscaping services, garden centers and nurseries with curbside pickup, community gardens, no-touch car washes, auto dealers by appointment only, site preparations for construction projects, and certain essential construction projects such as broadband, telecommunications, municipal projects, and schools. Marinas and golf courses will also be allowed to start getting ready for the season, but not open just yet. Folks, our hard work and perseverance, our patience is paying off. We're at an important starting point, and we should take today as a sign. Today's news shows us that if we stay the course, if we stay vigilant and take the measured approach, we can keep moving in the right direction.
All right. And, usually I'm yelling at the Premier, but he really has stepped up here and has done such a great job. And there's something we've talked about before, and that is the humanity. And he's doing this right. He's doing it cautiously and slowly, and he's taking the advice of his advisors. So that's good. We will be back again tomorrow night. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of each other.
COVID-19, why you do this to me? I really don't like being stuck in quarantine. I have no toilet paper, I don't even have a snack.